Hey guys, Derek Cook here with another Man Cave review. Again, this one is about one of my new favorite lures. This is the little 3-inch Kamooki SmartFish and a natural perch pattern. Very well finished lure. You're familiar with the Kamooki SmartFish at this point. The zinc keel, the floating tail, lipless rattling crankbait for horizontal retrieve that's been adapted for ice fishing, because this bait settles on its keel on bottom instead of falling over like a standard lipless rattling crank goes. So great presentation difference. Today I am talking really briefly about some walleye fishing that I intend to do this weekend and how I'm going to be fishing the Kamooki SmartFish for walleye. And really for me it is a 4-stage presentation for walleye, depending on the water you're on, the size of the fish, and the activity of those fish. Generally speaking, when I drill a hole, I'm not necessarily marking fish right away. My first presentation with the SmartFish is the calling bait presentation, standard blade bait or lipless rattling crankbait presentation. And that involves this really strong ceramic bead in there and a little bottom pounding at the same time. So typically what I'll do is I'll use long, slow to fast 3 to 4 foot sweeps, which activate that ceramic bead, and then let it pound to bottom, raise a bit of mud. Long 3 foot, 4 foot sweep, let it pound to bottom, stir some mud. That action will often bring walleye in from a distance, or any other top-line predators, Lakers, walleyes, anything in from a distance, and they'll take a look at that bait. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm looking at my flasher pretty regularly because I want to see the sign, just that 1 pixel difference or 2 pixel difference in the bottom contour that indicates that a fish is coming in right on bottom to take a look. And at that point, if the fish doesn't charge in right away and grab that bait, my tactics change. Instead of the 3 to 4 foot sweeps, I will start to pound bottom pretty regularly, 3 to 4 inch hops or 5 or 6 inch hops, and stir some mud. Take a look like a feeding minnow or a minnow that's panicked and trying to get under that mud and hide under that mud. And each time, of course, dropping it to base. Working that bait pretty aggressively. Twitch, twitch, twitch up, pound. Twitch, twitch, twitch up, pound. Pop up, pound. See if that walleye will go in after that bait in that cloud of dust that I'm stirring up. And often that's a very successful tactic in gin clear water, to not give that walleye too close a look at that bait and make it come into that mud after it. Now, if the calling bait presentation doesn't work, those long 3 to 4 foot rod sweeps and those pops inside that dust cloud, stirring up that dust cloud, don't work, the third phase of the presentation will be to bring that bait up and try to call that walleye up a little bit. Bring it up out of the cloud, pound down. Bring it a little bit higher up out of the cloud, pound down. Try to bring that walleye up in the water column. Walleye don't like it when bait fish move beyond their comfort zone. With walleye, that's always bottom feeding. So as you tease that walleye up, if you look at your flasher while you're doing this, and if you see those pixels separate from bottom and start to rise after that bait, you continue to tease that fish up and up and up. Often at that point, a walleye will scramble up, grab that bait, haul it right back down to bottom. And if the walleye doesn't, it will start to fade back to bottom. You'll see those pixels go down on your flasher again, and at that point, you bring that bait back to bottom and repeat the process. Now, if after using all 3 of those presentations, the calling bait presentation with the long 3 to 4 foot rod sweeps, followed by that bottom bouncing presentation where you're stirring up mud or sand on the bottom like a feeding or panic minnow, and then teasing that walleye up, if none of that works, and I'm continuing to mark that fish, particularly if it's a good size fish, the next piece is an old Devil's Lake trick from the Dakotas that I was taught years ago, which is on a good size fish, you've either got to make that fish hit or you've got to drive that fish off. And it's awful tough to feel that way about a fish that you've been working for 5 minutes on your flasher. But if that fish isn't going to hit, and if it's a good size fish, it will prevent other fish from coming in on that bait. If that fish has a full stomach and it's just curious, if there's other feeding fish around, you want those actively feeding fish. So at that point, you go back to a more aggressive presentation. You start to work that bait really aggressively again. Go back to your calling bait presentation. Long 3 to 4 foot rod sweeps and pound base. Long sweeps, jerky, unpredictable action on that lipless rattling crankbait to either make that walleye hit or to move it away. Because again, you want to appeal to feeding fish, and if that fish isn't feeding, then you want to frighten it off. So again, the 4-phase presentation that I use when I'm fishing walleye with the Kamooki SmartFish is first a calling bait presentation until I'm marking fish, then a much more subtle bottom bouncing presentation to stir some mud, followed by teasing that walleye up if I can't get it to hit, trying to get it to grab that bait and haul it back down. And then the final phase is to go back to an actually much more aggressive and much more volatile, sharp calling action bait to either force that walleye to hit or to drive it off. If you follow those 4 steps with the Kamooki SmartFish, you will also have a lot of success. This will definitely put you on fish. Those 4 steps can be used for walleye, lake trout, but particularly for walleye that love to feed directly on bottom. So give that a shot if you're wondering how to fish this Kamooki SmartFish. I mean, this is the natural perch pattern, but I have a whole box of these at this point. They're not inexpensive, but they're one of my favorite baits. They're remarkably successful both for open water, horizontal as a lipless rattling crankbait, horizontal and for jigging. And I've had a lot of success with them. So I wish you luck on the ice, open water as well. Don't forget, this is an outstanding summer bait as well. Just take the whole Kamooki tackle box and move it right into your summer kit. And good luck to you.